My first guest, I know him since a while now. He started playing the drum at 7 years old. He studied with Don Famularo, Jim Chapin, Jim Blakely, and many more drummers. He has actually he subbed me. He was my substitute for two cities, Phoenix and Arizona, in Mexico during the tour of Odiseo by Cavalia. He took over my place for a few weeks because I couldn't make it for a different reason, but I was touring with other shows. But yes, we did a very good job on that. He has his own band, Modus Factors. They released a few songs, they have albums, so you can check it out online. He's a drum clinician, he's a drum teacher. I teach a lot online and in person, so if you want, you can contact him for lessons. Actually, he have his own channel, LTR Life Through Rhythms. We'll talk about that today. And he's endorsed the brand Sonor, Remo, Vickford, and Sabian. So let's go with my friend. Hello, Chris Lesso. How are you doing?
Good to see you, Eric. I'm fantastic. How are you, man?
Very good. Happy to see you there. So you just finished a lesson, right?
I just finished. I'm busier than ever online, and we're doing like group sessions and LTR live cast where we have like guests around the world, and within every crisis is an opportunity, and the really cool opportunity right now is that we're finding ways to connect despite the distancing. So we don't want to isolate. It's physical distancing, but not social distancing. So right now we're connected, and we need to come together and connect more than ever before. And that's one of the opportunities. If the pandemic wasn't happening, I don't know if we'd be connected right now. And I've got some amazing guests coming on my live cast too. I know you do as well. And we're really coming together in ways that maybe we wouldn't be if this wasn't happening. So
it's pretty good.
Tapping into the power of community.
But you have been really active anyway online for a while. You're not like using, maybe this is a good time for doing that, but before that you're already active with like teaching or like podcasting stuff. So well, actually we could start about that. Talk about your channel a little bit. It's very cool. Like check it out a few times, like since over the years. And can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. Like LTR stands for Life Through Rhythm. So it's our best selves through drumming, right? So we play who we are. So every time you or me or whoever plays at the drum set, who we are as people comes through every note. I've always been fascinated that as I increase my focus and discipline, my drumming increases.
For sure.
As my life becomes more simplified and direct, it carries over on the drum set. Even to being able to focus on a groove without playing like too many fills. That's really a focus thing, and it's a mind thing, and it's a spirit thing. And as I believe in myself, like I was talking about this today with some people, when you believe in yourself and you believe what you have to say has value, you can be yourself on the instrument and have your self-expression come through instead of trying to kind of hide behind someone else's persona that you're never gonna achieve anyway. You can't.
Your own signature. You will have your own
signature. Exactly. So we can be like inspired by the John Bonhams and the different players, and I've been inspired by your playing greatly.
You too.
What you're doing, and how you're inspiring drummers and what you do. So, it's like our fingerprints kind of come through the instrument. So these things, as we live as people, then when we get behind the kit, we have our story to tell. And I've always been fascinated in that connection. The paradiddles are great. The technique is great. There's a million books about that. But I'm really fascinated with those other aspects that really bring out who we are on the drum set, and just exploring all these exciting ways that are just fun, outlets like the podcasting and YouTube channel, what you're doing right now. Like we're Facebook Live, we're connecting with drummers around the world, Japan, Australia. It's like there's no borders, man. I think you're in Mexico City right now, right?
Yep, exactly.
Mind-blowing. And part of it too, Eric, is like, and I know you feel this, as you do Drumfills Kafé and as I do my LTR stuff.
It's pretty good.
We are students.
Oh, for sure.
right? I have Randy Cook coming on Monday. He's one of my favorite drummers, man. So I get to spend time with him. Dom was just on a couple days ago. We got Rich Redmond coming on in a few days. Like, I'm learning just as much as anybody else. So these outlets are just different ways to be the eternal student.
Yeah, you said something very good too. You said about focus. A lot of musicians doesn't put a lot of attention on that. But I'm totally agree with you. You can play one show per week, but when you do a lot of shows, or it's not about just shows, it can be teaching about. But if you lose the focus, it's harder to get that feel or be connected with the other musician or with the student you will work with. I talk about that because I have to live like that, and you try my work too, like to do like 6 to 8 shows per week, and to give the same qualities of show. But this is super hard, and it's hard to keep the focus with your signature, but with the signature of the artistic director too, or the music composer. So you need to find that line where you put yourself in. You know what I mean? So it's because if, like you said, if you want to be another guy playing that gig, maybe it won't sound great. But if you are yourself doing the best as you can and you're focused, it will fit the gig anyway. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It elevates it. And as drummers, Eric, and I know you feel this, it's like we're servant leaders.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
We're much in the way our heartbeat works, which is the ultimate drum and the ultimate rhythm.
Exactly.
Like we're the heartbeat behind it, but we're serving the greater good of the song, the musical director, the elevation of the other soloists, you know, and really the real challenge that I find as I, go through life more and more is like playing the long game, right? Like long-term excellence. And one thing I'm impressed about you, and I really felt this by actually, stepping into your shoes and doing the show.
You did well. You did a very good job.
Thank you. It was a massive challenge, and it gave me a new respect for what you do. Is like you did, I think, thousands of shows. How many shows technically, just roughly?
I passed 5,000 shows.
I was going to say 5,000. I'm like, is that really right? Like, that's
I jumped 5,000. I don't count now, but with different companies, with the Odyssey, I think I did around 2,000 ish, and with Kavaya one I did around 800-900. I don't, but the other companies, Cirque and all, I don't count them. So I passed the 5,000 now.
Exactly. I'm looking around behind you. I don't see any crutches. I don't see a neck brace.
Nope.
You're very.
I hope so. Touching wood.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're actually using drum, and that says something about your technique. And I think, Dom and Jim Chapin and those guys, it's like if you're really loose and going for effortlessness, you're able to play at a high level for literally hundreds and thousands of shows and keep that long-term excellence. And you mentioned focus. Mm-hmm. The challenge is really keeping it, that long game, which is really my goal, the long game. And then, like, even if you have a so-called bad day, you're still hitting a high standard. And that's in Cirque du Soleil and shows like that. Or any really decent good band, you're gonna have to come up with a high standard. And focus really is a muscle.
Yep.
And that's kind of one of the first essential ingredients. And that's what I really try to work on daily in myself and share with my students.
I remember you have a very a loose technique. I mean, not loose in the bad way, loose like when your motion are very like you don't force. And this is actually good. I was checking, you start at 7 years old. I remember you told me that, but when you started, I know you studied with different teachers, but have you passed by people to show you how to set up and to be loose, or when you start you did all the mistakes as everybody do, you copy a setup from someone you saw on TV and it was yours until you changed? How you managed from 7 years old until you grew up as a college guy, university?
Yeah, Eric, and I'm sure maybe you can relate to this. One thing that makes you a good teacher sometimes is when you've done the wrong thing. And you can tell somebody like, yes, squeezing the sticks, not a good idea because I did it And I remember playing a show, you know, and song 2 in you know, hour and a half show, my blister breaks on my hand. I have this like blister right there. And I'm playing it. And song 2, I remember my parents were there, and it was just a big gig for me at the time. I think I was 18. And yeah, blister breaks, man. I'm playing. I'm like, oh. And it's song 2. There's no going anywhere. You're right.
Wow. So
show has just begun.
You learn.
And, brutal, man. And just, you know, mistakes like that, mistakes like setting up or moving my body to the drums instead of letting the drums be an extension of my body.
I understand.
You know, which is the drums. You should be able to close your eyes, and it's like everything is just effortlessly there. And
it's good to do that. Actually, there's one guy who asked a question. He's like, speaking of looseness and muscle, what do you suggest as exercises to do in the gym to improve legs, foot, and wrist stamina? If you have any suggestion, or you, what do you do?
Good question. I heard this asked to some of my teachers and mentors, and it was put to me like, if you can imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger behind the drums.
Yeah.
And I'm a wiry, skinny guy, right? And I'm not Arnold. If you could think of, just imagine behind the drums. Yeah. And sometimes stuff you do in the gym would kind of get in the way of the drum set. In terms of drum set is not like a building muscle, and a lot of the types of muscles would actually might get in the way. You know, if you lift weights all the time and then you get behind the set, that might kind of tighten up your muscles and actually add bulk to your muscles. So some of the exercises in a gym, I'd say things like yoga, you know, running, breath work. Those are more, you know, getting out into a forest and walking. I think those are a little more maybe conducive to drumming than a gym with weights and things like that.
Yeah.
What do you think? That's a good question.
Yeah, because I have my friend Mark just add, how do you keep loose before going on stage? So after the gym, let's go, you're going on stage. How you prepare yourself for that? You know, like we always did that. A show always good. I was in a punk band, and I like super fast, like and your foot stop working because the muscle is not enough like warmed up. So what do you do?
Yeah, good question. Before I go on, I love the pumping motion exercise, which is just getting the sticks. You're doing what's called a low molar.
Yep.
Which is just a whipping motion of the stick, but done with the wrist.
You see what?
Right. And if I catch that,
yep,
I'm getting some free taps. So I can go 4, 3s, 2s. So I'm just doing that kind of whipping motion there, which I love to use this as a warm-up because it's loose. I'm kind of getting the blood to the muscles. I'm training my muscles to go with the momentum of the stick, right? And use power versus force. So I'm not forcing it, but kind of getting my muscles used to that motion. And that kind of carries over into like, how would you move from a snare to a cymbal? You can see that same kind of motion there. If you're playing a paradiddle, you're going to see the same movement can be a good tool to help you. Yeah. And I mean, I've seen you play, Eric. It's like you use this in every note you play.
We have ideas in common, you and me. I remember, like, for example, circle motion, my kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Everything is close. You don't need. Actually, it's funny I say that because you always make mistakes. You say, and you learn from those mistakes. I did a drum clinic like a month ago and a half before they shut down everything, and I decided to put my cymbals higher, not in my normal motion. You know what I mean? Just for try. Worst thing ever, because I was making a wall in my circle natural motion of my body. You know, I didn't listen to my body. I listened. I said, I would do that. But you always learn. and I'm not like 15 and green, and you know what I mean. So you
Yes.
always make mistake at whatever age, and you just said it. We are all students, and we learn from that. And the motion you did, Buddy Rich was doing that too, and even with traditional, like clack 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 clack, like pull, like clack 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 pull, clack.
Yes.
And it's worked out. Try at home. It's something to try, but it's very fun.
I go to it first because it kind of sets the foundation for anything I'm going to do. You know, I get my looseness in there. I got my speed. It kind of centers me, and it works out as a good foundation. But I love what you said there. Natural, and the root word of natural is nature. So we want to. That's kind of the overlaying philosophy of everything. Eric is like work with nature, not against. Right. So for anybody warming up, there's different things you could do. But if you feel any tension, you know, tension is the enemy of anything natural, tightness. So any kind of warm up that taps you into being loose, aligning yourself with nature so you can be your best self on the drums, I think is good. There's not one warm up for everybody.
No, it's always different. And it's something I remember from you. I don't know if you do that anymore, but you had an open setup. Like it was kind of a mirror effect. For really, do you do that kind of setup still, or?
Yes, I started that when I was about 24, and that was 18 years ago. So it was 2002. So 18 years ago, and I played 17 years before that cross. So
and you switch over complete.
Yes, and not that, you know, this is art. The drum set is expressing your best self through the drums, right? So it's expressing yourself. You're telling a story. What's wrong with playing cross? What's wrong with playing traditional? Nothing. It's a silly kind of argument because it's your self-expression. But I used to be nice about this, Eric, where, you know, I'm like, if you want to try open-handed, it's up to you. Now I'm like, you must make at least 1% of your playing open-handed. Okay. Why? Because it'll make you think of new ideas. Like I guarantee it, if you sit at the set and you get your left hand on the hi-hat and your right hand on the snare, and you're like, whoa, I'm thinking of new things. So your creativity will
for sure.
Yeah, it'll go up, right? Now the other thing is your weaker hand is getting some different, you know, jobs than you normally do in staying in your comfort zone. So you're pushing yourself to get outside of your comfort zone.
So cool.
Yeah, and even drummers like Steve Gadd, who plays cross, he plays, you know, the famous 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. He's playing open-handed. The drummer from Korn, I'm gapping on his name right now.
There's a lot. Ray Luzier, you mean? Ray
Luzier, that's it. He plays, you know, a little, maybe 50-50 open-handed. So, and I know you do it. I've seen some great grooves you play in what you're doing. So it just opens things up a little bit.
It's true. Actually, what I've learned that when I was a kid, I've seen Dave Weckl in clinic. I don't remember, Montreal, Quebec City. I don't remember. Like I was like 14 years old. And he was telling people, when you start, put a bass drum, a snare, a hi-hat. Start with the basic.
Yes.
Start from there, and after that, try to see what you can create. And it's like, and if you want to challenge yourself, put it lefty if you're righty, or righty if you're lefty. So I put my drum lefty, and I had a roommate long time ago in college. He brought his drum in my city, but he couldn't put it in the college. So I told him, put in my basement, my studio. So perfect. So we set up his kit, but he was a lefty guy. So every time I was doing something right, I was trying in the left side.
Oh, man.
A samba left or jazz pattern with your left hand, like ding, 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 but ding, ding, ding. It sounds, yeah.
Exactly.
You have to practice.
I love that, even just to practice it.
Yeah.
And Mike Mangini, there's a modern drummer drum festival. Maybe it's 2006 or something like that. It's a DVD you can get. It's when Mike Mangini was on.
I saw that one. I remember. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and he did just what you mentioned, just to make a point, where he saw it. So he had a right-handed traditional cross set, and then right next to it a left-handed, cross set, and kind of would play a little bit on one, and then go a little bit to the other. Yeah, and he was just making the point that you just made. It's like, try it and see, just your brain to adapt to that and see what it feels like. Yeah, and it opens it up.
And on the gig you saw me, I had a foot surgery when I was in Salt Lake, Denver, and but I'm a tough guy, and we're a musician, so when you got sick at your work in general, they would say, I will get paid, but myself, I could get paid, but I don't have unions, so I have theoretically one, but I said, nah, I will do the show, so give me 2 days for rest, and I have days off. But when I set up, it was my right foot, I couldn't play, so I set up my bass drum on my left foot with a double bass drum pedal, but I have 2 hi-hats, so I switch over. So I did the entire show in half lefty, half righty.
Wow.
And it's funny because when I did that for about 2 weeks, and it's funny because some song I was grooving those songs in a better way than my normal way. Kind of sloppy a bit, but we like it. It's like, yeah, well, I'm sloppy. I'm trying to make it happen.
100%. I've heard it was Kenny Aronoff say that. He's like, just like what you said, it's almost like having Jekyll and Hyde. It's like having another. It's like if you're an actor, you have another character you can pull out.
So true.
Yeah. So even if you that's actually an advantage. If you 99% played cross and you got a nice silky, perfect sound, and you're like, whoa, I never do this, and you go lefty on the hi-hat, you're gonna have like a gritty, dirty, maybe like you said, like more kind of sloppy sound, which may be the perfect thing you need.
Yeah.
Song, right? And no theme, which brings it back to what we were talking about at the beginning: opportunity and crisis. You broke your freaking foot, and you're like, I'm gonna use this to be better and to grow and to get out of my comfort zone. So cool.
Yeah. About that, you did a lot of drum clinic, master class, like motivation, like speech and stuff like that. What are your goals exactly when you do that? Yeah, because we talk about the musician, we always really start, but for sure when you arrive in there's an audience, and there's not necessarily just drummers, they have different people. So are you trying to just pass a message like, okay, you need to do that? Or when you go into those events, what are your goals in mind for starting those events?
Amazing question. When I started, I think the first event I ever did, I had this piece of paper, Eric, and it was like, okay, I'm going to cover this. And I went out there, and that's putting the focus on me. It's like, I'm going to cover and it's giving value. It's like, but I'm thinking of what I'm going to cover or what I'm going to go over. And what I quickly realized is like, it's about them. And in LTR, Life Through Rhythm, we say like, it's your best self through drumming. It's your best self through drumming. So I kind of read and it's like what we're doing right now. We're having an improvised conversation, and fun, and we're getting the best out of each other, and hopefully people are feeling the good vibe we're having.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's just what having done so many of these, Eric, it's like, I take the focus off myself. I look at the room, and I just try to serve and bring out that excitement, that drumming. Look at the drum behind you. I'm excited looking at that drum.
Yep.
Like, I nerd out on it. Wow, look at the finish, and I'd love to hit it. And I want to get one? And I nerd out with that feeling. We all know it when we're in a music store. You're looking around at the drums. And I'm constantly trying to tap into that. And the key to unlock that is different. I've done this at schools with kindergartens. I've done this with, at colleges with people that want to be professional. And I've done this in senior homes where they want to use drumming to just feel a part of a community and just to move and get some energy going. So it's not about me. It's about finding the way to unlock that excitement and that childlike quality that music and drumming is. It's the essence of it.
Oh, for sure. And following that question, you're teaching online, you're teaching in private, I mean in person. Is it do you need to be self-taught necessarily, and you say I don't want to have drum lessons, or you suggest at least to say, okay, even if you want self-taught, you don't want to do college, universities, like high school, whatever, in drum, you want to have your rock band, but do you suggest to at least see 1 or 2 times like a drummer for help yourself to be better drummer, even if you're self-taught, or how you see that in general?
So the story of the lone wolf never ends well. Okay. The wolf that's away from the pack is going to get injured. It's going to get sick. It's going to be weak, and it's eventually just going to die. It never ends well. It's a sad story. So if you can tap into some kind of mastermind, some kind of mentors, something higher than yourself. We're doing it right now. We talked about it before. We're students. So that's what it's about. And whenever I've tried to be alone, go at it, the lone wolf, like I can do this myself and I'm going to be self-taught. There's periods where I think that's kind of cool, like to go, to be self-taught for a while, but ultimately it's going to slow you down.
It's possible too.
Right? So get some mentors, get some inspiration. And one of my biggest mentors is Bruce Lee, man.
For sure.
Bruce Lee is long gone, but I've studied his stuff, and we were talking before about effortlessness and just how to express the true self of who you are. Bruce Lee was all about this, man. And there's so many connections. He's one of my favorite drummers. I mean, he never picked up, right?
Yeah, actually, you did something intense too. You studied tabla, and it's not a lot of people, and this is hard too.
Yeah, my teacher, the Indian system of teaching, Eric, is kind of brutal and gruff. It's like,
it cuts you like right there.
Oh my God, yeah, it's not nice, and it's not gonna hold your hand. And my teacher, I did it the old school way. I actually went to India at one point to
learn to get that thing for real.
Exactly, to get at the essence of it. And I remember my teacher is like, "You will suck for 2 years."
But it's honest. It's like, okay, that's perfect. No,
totally honest. And at least with a drum set, Eric, it's gonna sound good, just like do ga boosh. Like day one, it'll sound kind of cool. Tabla, like forget about it, man. It's kind of like the violin. You're gonna suck for like a year.
It's hard. I played violin for like 4 years. And my first year, I think I was bleeding for my eyes and everything. It was so hard. Even but you know what I mean? But after you start to be better, and it's okay. But yeah, it's question. But this is a good question too of focus. We were talking about that at the beginning. But tabla need a lot of focus.
Oh my God, it's all about that. And they actually discourage writing down, the way that we traditionally, we open up a book and we learn to read. There's so much emphasis on, I started doing piano lessons, and it's like, counting and reading. And the Indian tradition is oral, strictly oral.
It's true. Tabadi. You have to learn those words.
Yeah, da, takadimi, da. It's all, you have to speak it first. So, oh my gosh, is it ever focused? They almost think you're like something's wrong with you if you got to write it down. It's like, aren't you concentrating? Like, listen, think, and try to execute. And if your mind starts to wander, you need to bring it back. It's like being in cold water. It's like you can't think of anything except the intensity of the cold. Yeah. It's really good for that.
We have around 2 minutes because I try to have around 30 per person, and because time flies fast. I want you to tell everybody where they can reach you, what you offer, like as a teacher, and because we have time in the house, so where the people can reach you and right now.
Yeah, so the home base, Eric, is chrislessel.com. And I'm putting out weekly free content. So just put out a lesson a couple days ago. I've guests. We're tapping into the larger mastermind, which is global. So I also have guests that are former Navy SEALs, health experts, just anything that improves our drumming in terms of focus, health, and artistic expression. So it's all chrislessel.com's LTR podcast. During this crisis, I have something I'm putting out at no cost to everybody called the LTR Live Casts.
Okay.
And you're actually going to be a guest coming up,
Woohoo!
the LTR Livecast. So, Eric, you know, we'll have you on. We got like Randy Cook, Rich Redmond, Dom Famulero, all these guests. It's free. It's all at my website. And let's connect and just be better and use this crisis as an opportunity. So we look back on it and we say, wow, I actually became better during that time instead of being defeated. We don't want that.
It's true, because I've seen a lot of drummers challenging themselves, saying like, okay, I will do, let's say, whatever, like I will practice my single stroke, and I will try to speed up every day, just a little bit, a few beats per day, but be tight, to be clean, you know, or like, okay, I'm going to try to learn that style. Or I always, a lot of students ask me, because I did a lot of casino and hotel shows. When you do those shows, you need to learn like 500 songs. And a lot of people are always asking me like, what I should do for start those gigs? Well, learn 500 songs. Like, I will never do that. Like, well, you will never have those gigs. So you have to learn those vocabularies. And this is a really good moment. Even you don't like the song, you put the top 40 song right now, just play on it and just have fun to feel it. And this is the best time, because when those events will restart in 2021 or the end of 2020, it will be right there, because you will have learned already 200, 300, 400, 500 songs. So it's something they should take that moment. Well, Chris, thank you so much. You're a good friend. We met like a long time ago, around 10 years, 12 years ago. So it was fun to have you here. I hope the people will go see your video on YouTube. You have great video, by the way, from your drum clinics and masterclass. I suggest the people to go check it out if they don't know Chris Lesso. And we will talk soon, my friend.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for everything you're doing for the drum community,
you too,
your artistry and your passion for it. And we'll talk real soon.
Take care, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. See you, man.
Bye. Well, cool. That was my friend Chris Lesso.